enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Hello, this is Paul Stefan, and this is another edition of TV Free Baltimore's Film Reviews. And tonight our guest is filmmaker Mark Shell. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me here.
Great. Now tell us a little bit about how you got started in filmmaking.
Well, I got started in filmmaking around 10 years ago. I was actually doing a little bit of independent acting around the area, and so I had a little bit of exposure to what it was like to make short films and things like that. But I actually had a run-in with a coworker in regards to experience and the ability to do things. And my point was, if somebody has strong skills and abilities, they can really set out and do anything they want. And the point I made, I said, well, I don't know anything about making a movie. I've never made one, but I can take the skill, my experience that I have and my skills I have, and apply it to that and actually make a movie. So I set about down this journey and had to learn all the different aspects of making a movie. So I had to learn about writing a script, directing, camera work, editing, the sound editing, music composition, and getting the cast together and getting everything done.
Now, how did you gather that knowledge? Was it the internet, books? Did you consult people, or?
Some of it was actually, observation of being in other movies, so you could observe how people were directing. But a bulk of it was really getting in. The internet's a great resource, so you can find out anything there. So that's where I learned. The internet's where I learned all the editing, how to use the software for editing, script writing. It was all. I say most of that was just really from the internet, but how you actually conducted on set, a lot of that was from actual just observations.
Right. I think you may have mentioned in some of the research I've done that you used making films as kind of a learning curve, so that each film you could do more or grow more, or even when we get into things about how you finance, that if you make a profit, you just roll that money over into your next film.
Yeah. So, like I said, I never set out to really be a filmmaker or get into films. But when I did the first film, I started liking it. And I could see that there was a potential there to make it something more and turn it into something profitable. So I set up my strategy, so I'll make a film as kind of a test to learn how to do some of it. Then I went on to do another film that was more of a test, and then the third movie or film was really one that I set out to actually make profit off of.
Okay.
And yes, like I said, I took the money from that to roll into the next one.
There you go. Well, I'm just saying that when you're talking about a micro budget, what's kind of your production budget? Let's say, what's the production budget for your current film?
Production budget for my current film is $5,000.
Wow.
Now, I may put more. I've got latitude. It's my own money, so I can put more into it if I so desire to. But right. And almost all that is for cast.
Oh, okay. Well, bring back again about what are the challenges for a small-time independent filmmaker?
So the biggest challenge that I run into is really with sound. Sound, if you want to do sound at the level of a Hollywood production, you have to have a lot of equipment. You have to have a lot of people on set for sound. With the low-budget productions, I have a very minimum number of people on set. I typically won't have more than 2 or 3 actors on a set, and I'll keep no more than 2 or 3 crew on set. So it's really minimal. So if you're running camera, you're also running sound and lighting and kind of everything.
Right, I got you. So what is that concept? That was basically your concept of the learning curve? Is that just as you go along, you learn how to do things a little better, a little different,
with everything I do, I'll learn more and I can do it better each time. That can also be kind of painful because you look back at something you did and you want to keep, I can redo it better, I can redo it better. And at some point in time, you have to sort of stop and keep, it's done.
As you said, minimal retakes.
Yeah, and minimal re-editing, because you can get into this loop of, I didn't really like that, I'm going to redo it. So.
Because I've heard some filmmakers do that. They have problems with a film, and they say, well, it didn't take that long to shoot, but I had several months of editing.
Yeah. So my third movie, I probably spent 2,000 to 3,000 hours editing because I kept editing and re-editing and re-editing, and it could become an insanity. So the best thing to do is call it done, grab a beer, and leave it alone.
Now, have all your films turned a profit?
Not all of them. The first two were really more for kind of testing and learning.
Yeah.
They did bring in a little bit of revenue, and they're still actually bringing in revenue today, which surprises me. So
Great.
I get like these $2 and $3 checks every month or two. It's just kind of interesting. But the third one did pull in a profit, and that's what convinced me to go ahead and stick with this and start working on a fourth, and now working on a fifth.
Now, a lot of people have problems raising money to make their films. How do you raise your money for your films?
From my bank account.
I'm just saying, are you totally self-funded?
I'm 100% self-funded,
Okay.
and I even provide some funding. So I help fund a movie that Eric Myers produced,
Right.
the Butterfly Kisses.
Right.
And
Good movie. Yeah.
I'm currently reviewing another production that's getting ready to kick off in August up in upstate New York. So
Wow. Okay. So you're one of the very rare filmmakers that bankrolls his own film.
yeah, and my intent is to keep everybody out of it, unless there's cast members or people that I'm close with that want to invest. I would do that, but I don't want somebody to have control over what I'm doing.
Oh, so it's more of an issue of control for you, because if you want to have a bigger production, sometimes you need a bigger budget, and bigger budget means you got to look for outsources for funding.
Yes, and I'm not opposed to getting large funding. I want to have control over what's going on, but the other aspect of it too is being able to say I took and continued building upon and achieved whatever I achieved. So.
Right. So it'll be great to see. Now, we know that. Why did you pick the horror genre?
Well, the horror genre sells.
Okay.
So that when you look at the different genres, horror, you can make almost anything into a horror. And lots of things, you can have spiders that are scary. A lot of things can be scary. Right. Clowns are obviously scary, so that's part of why I went down the clown route.
Right.
But the other aspect of that was, over a period of years, I made different contacts in the industry, and I had a great contact with Chemical Burn Entertainment, and they specialize in horror.
Oh.
So when I'm looking at, if I want to make money, I know I have somebody I can go to and get it distributed and get revenue coming in.
Okay.
So I have comedies that I want to do, but I don't really have an outlet for them yet. So.
Oh, okay. We'll get into that a little bit later. Now, there's also something that was said about your use of family in making the film. So it's not just Mark Schell. There are other Shells in this production.
Yes.
Over the years.
Over the years, yeah. My mother's been in one of my movies. My father's been in a movie. My brother's been in a movie. My kids have been in, I think, every one of mine.
Wow.
At least if they weren't on camera, they were behind the camera or directing or composing music. And my wife ends up being in all my movies, whether she wants to or not. and then my father-in-law, who's in his 80s, he always has some kind of special appearance in all my movies.
It's like Hitchcock. You have to look for him in the movie.
Yeah.
No, it's a Mark Schell production.
Yeah, so he shows up.
But you don't appear in your movies anymore, or do you?
I do. I try not to, but sometimes with the low budget, it just ends up that I got to jump in and do that. So in 8-Ball Clown,
right,
I played like 8 or 9 characters in there, but you won't really notice it. So I stunt.
Wow.
I'll call it stunt double. It's not really stunts, but I'll double for people a lot of times. So if somebody's not available, we'll do stuff where I'll have like a mask on or something, so you really can't see who it is, and then obviously get killed by clown or whatever.
Now, do you do all the distribution and marketing yourself?
No, I actually. That's where.
That's a company.
That's where Chemical Burn comes in.
Okay.
I love them. They're very honest, very easy to work with. They really helped out on 8-Ball Clown with the trailer, helped step that up. But they take care of all that, and that's why I like that particular relationship.
So they do distribution, they do marketing, they do publicity?
Yeah, they do it
All of it?
Yeah. So I can make the movie, get all my pieces done, and turn it over and wait for money.
Has any of your films appeared in theaters?
Not yet. Except for theaters where I put it in myself.
Yeah, I know, but I just meant where it got a deal somehow.
Yeah, not yet. It's one of those where, in the future maybe. So as we continue to work and build upon them, there's that potential. But I'm not relying on that because it's when you look at the number of movies produced and the number that actually get a theatrical distribution.
And these days, though, but also you could say online somewhere, not just something you put up on YouTube, but it could be Netflix, Hulu, something.
Yeah, and the whole industry has really changed over the last, even like the last couple of years. It's really changing, and Amazon actually has a new platform that they're rolling out. I'm part of that beta test. I had to sign a non-disclosure, but it's what they call it, media on demand. So it's going to change a lot of how independent movies, or if you got like a web series type thing, that you can get that distributed through them and get some revenue coming in.
Well, that's good. Now, of course, your current project is 8-Ball Clown, right? That's your current project.
We're actually on 8-Ball Clown too. So 8-Ball Clown.
All right, but it's not been released yet.
No, it gets released in September.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that one then, because that's sort of like, let's see, the most recent project that's complete.
Yes.
We'll say. Where did the idea for this movie come from?
I have to credit my daughter. She said she wanted to do a movie with clowns, and I kind of took it to a different level, and she got mad about it. So when you see her she's actually in the movie, you'll see her, she looks like she's mad. Because she is.
Okay. She wasn't really acting then.
She was kind of mad about some of it because I took her idea and twisted it into this horrible, creepy clown thing.
Yeah. Now, how old is she?
She's 14 now.
Oh, okay, she is. Okay. Now, at some time, maybe because you were doing it on when you started this project, but clowns are starting to feel like, they've been done, sort of. I mean, they just had It, in the theaters, and you've had other things like Killer Clowns from Outer Space and all kinds of, because the clown motif has been used, maybe not overused, but it's been used. And why did you choose a clown?
I actually started filming it way before It even.
Oh, okay.
When the distributor decided to move the distribution out about a year. So originally it was planned for last year.
Okay.
But one of the interesting things, when you started hearing a lot about clown sightings and things like that, some of that was actually us. So we were out there. You
were out perpetuating that urban myth?
We were perpetuating that urban myth. So we actually had a really funny incident when we first started doing some test filming. So I'm out in the middle of the woods along Gunpowder Falls River with my son. And it's an area where we go a lot of times, fishing, hiking, things like that. And so it's like, let's go out and do some testing. So we had balloons and clown costumes and stuff like that. And we're out just doing some test filming, and a group of people comes walking through, and I'm like, hi? I'm like, we normally don't see people back here. And they're like, well, we normally don't see clowns back here. I'm like, touche.
So that's how it got it started, huh?
Yeah, and then I know we were filming along Gunpowder Falls River, and there was a couple walking their dog, and they seen the clown with balloons, and asked what was going on, and one of the guys that I work with in my films, John Furman, he says, "Oh, it's my birthday," and my son's there, I think he was 9 at the time, and these people are sort of looking like, okay, the adult has the clown for his birthday, and then there's a kid there. Okay, they were kind of okay with it. They seemed to think it was normal.
a little strange. Now, for people, too, if you can tell us, and I don't want to give the movie away, but give an idea of what the premise or the plot of the movie is.
Well, the premise of it is there's a opioid-addicted clown. So this has some hidden meanings and stuff underneath it because of the opioid addiction. So it's almost like a public service announcement.
Oh, okay.
So it really focuses around the opioids and what it does to this particular character, and his addiction to opioids turns into addiction to killing.
Wow.
So, and he ends up killing people by overdosing them.
Wow.
Yeah, not every time. He is a very,
Okay.
he doesn't have just one way of killing. So
Because after I had read that, I said, "Oh yeah, now I get it." At least I'm old enough to know that all the time you talked about an 8-ball.
yeah,
That's
and that's where the name comes from.
Yeah.
So throughout the movie, you hear there's all these different drug slang references throughout it, but it's really part of what it shows you is how bad those drugs really are. And the reality of it is people are using stuff and they have no idea what it is, and they're shooting it up. And you'll hear that in the movie that, well, he doesn't care what he shoots up. He shoots up everything, and that's why he's all messed up.
so in a sense, the movie's a horror movie, but also has a moral.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so you do have a good moral there,
Somewhat.
and there's room for a sequel apparently.
There's room for a sequel.
8-Ball Clown 2.
2. We had to
There
go with
will
number
be.
2.
There will be a number 2 that you will be working with another director with.
Yeah. Eric Myers, who directed Butterfly Kisses, is now my director on this. And it's going pretty good. We've shot a few scenes. I think we're probably 10, 15%.
Is that the first time you've had somebody else direct one of your films?
Yes. So it's different. It's a challenge because it's one of those things where when you're used to doing it, you want to jump in and you want to say, no, do it this way. And he has his own, he has his own style.
Right.
So, we have to learn to work together.
Right. I mean, you're basically then the producer?
Yeah.
Now, did he bring his crew with him, or was it just him?
Just him.
Just him, okay.
We're bringing some of the people he's worked with as far as actors.
Oh, other actors?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got George Stover coming on board.
Oh, he's well known.
Yes, he is. So he's playing our psychologist.
Wow, I'd love to get him in here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's been around.
Yeah. When we were looking at who to cast for that particular role, when we were looking at different people, my son actually looked at his IMDb profile, and he was one who wanted George in the movie because he thought it was so cool how many movies George has been in. So George was and he still is a little bit worried because he has, I'll call it, an incredibly, horribly long monologue.
Oh.
There's no way. I wrote it, but I could never memorize it. And George is like, I don't know about that. I'm like, you don't have to worry about memorizing that thing. There's little tricks to work around that, so it'll look like you memorized it.
Oh, okay. So he won't. It was too long even for him to memorize.
Yeah, it's pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I say, he could extemporize, or like you said, sometimes you tell people the actors could just keep going, make up some lines. But
Yeah, and he has the flexibility in that. So there's some key pieces of it that we want delivered, but if he gets on a rambling roll and it's working, that works.
It works for you, huh? And is there a sense too that there's going to be an 8-Ball 3 or no?
Possibly. My daughter surprisingly mentioned maybe doing a number 3.
Wow.
So,
Of course, one has to get a good reception in September, I guess.
yeah, I think it will. And part of what I'll do is I'll look at how well number 1 does, and if it's doing fairly well, then, like I said, I'm interested in making money. So if it's doing fairly well, I'll jump on board and start number 3.
Do you see it as being maybe your biggest grossing film?
Yes.
Yeah. It's got that potential?
Yeah, I believe number 1. Yeah, I've done my calculations on the first one already, and after the distributor revised the trailer and I watched the trailer, I kind of threw my projections out because I think it's going to do much better than what I originally projected.
And you had said something about after seeing that trailer, you re-edited the film.
Yes, and that's why I said earlier, it's one of those things where you can get into, and you can start getting into this re-editing.
Right.
I did set myself a limit, and I set a particular date. I'm like, on this date, done. So I went back and primarily worked on the sound, added a lot more effects to make it creepier, a little scarier. Added a few different minor scenes in there. I actually kind of cheated, and I took a couple pieces from my original movie, Autumn Rage, and put them in there as kind of like clown memories of people he killed, because there were some people that died in that movie. So kind of
you
cheated.
can put it in there.
Yep.
Hey, that's something filmmakers do.
Yeah. And then number 2 is a little bit different too. So it actually has zombies. So it's not just clowns. It's
Clowns and zombies.
Clowns and zombies.
So there, though, you're getting into like the Night Watchman territory, if you know that movie.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I had those people in here too.
Awesome.
I had Ken Arnold here and Dan DeLuca.
Yeah, they're great people.
And
I've known them for
whole thing about,
many years.
The clown pyre and the zombies in that movie, which was a comedy horror film. Have you ever thought of combining the two genres and doing a comedy horror film?
This one actually has comedy in it.
Two?
Number 2 has some comedy in it,
Okay.
but I'll call it sort of dark comedy.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's always good to have, too.
Yeah,
Hitchcock had some dark comedy sometimes.
Yeah, so there's some interesting things. A couple pieces we ended up cutting out while we were filming, but it has some funny things every now and then, because eventually I would like to do a comedy.
Right.
So I'm kind of starting to introduce some of the odd comedy into this.
But you just started filming, too.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's going to go for a while. Your schedule of filming is...
Yeah, we're going light on this schedule, so we're only doing maybe 1 or 2 days a month.
Oh, so...
And they're short days, so like 2 to 4 hours.
So it's going to be a while before that one's ready for you to go to post, huh?
Yeah, probably won't start post until October, November.
Okay. So this is something, if it comes out, it'll be next 2019.
Yeah, we're looking at, it's most likely going to be a September 2019 release.
Oh, so September and then September, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not in a rush.
A year apart,
Yeah.
right.
Originally I started kind of rushing on it, then once I realized that when I had the date of the release of 8 Ball Clown 1 pushed out, it's like, you know what, let's relax and get it done slowly.
There you go. Now, what about any other projects that you have or ideas of things that you want to do?
Well, Eric Myers and myself have written a script together.
Ah.
I wrote the original script, then he went and did a lot of awesome editing to it. Part of why we're working on 8 Ball Clown 2 together is because we want to film that one together, and that's one where I'll invest a lot more money into. So it'll be a much larger budget movie.
What type of film?
It's a horror film.
Another horror film?
Yeah.
Straight horror again?
Straight horror again. Yeah.
Okay. And you don't want to say anything more about that right now. You don't have to either. But we can keep us all waiting on that one.
Oh, yeah, it's got a particular interesting concept. So
Well, keep that quiet for now, because we always tell people, I like having people come here and interview, and you can always come back and you can talk about the other films.
Yeah, that's one where we won't talk about.
Or
the
maybe have
concept
you and Eric together in here, maybe on that one. And
yeah, not sure if we're gonna film it. We have to really see how we work together.
See how we work together on this one.
Yeah.
So because collaboration is also new for him.
Yeah, we've tried that throughout the industry, getting around here, getting people to collaborate, and it's really difficult because everybody has their own agenda. They've got their own styles. They've got it's always that. Well, I'm putting this much into it. How much are you putting into it? The time and everything. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because what I had heard from other people come in here is they said, something like you said. It's like this is kind of cliquish. They said, there's a lot of people in Maryland that make independent films, but they're like little cliques. This little group knows each other and they work together. This little group over here works only with each other, and so that nobody really talks together. Like maybe we could, instead of using an amateur or a family member, say, well, here's a sound man from over here in this group who's not working right now, or here's a DP who's not working right now. He'd work with us on our project.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't get that is true. So it is kind of cliquish. So, I've known Ken Arnold and a lot of them for a long time, but we've never shared resources kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think this next film that he's just wrapped up, is going to be a big one. Bill Tillman and the Outlaws.
Yep.
Where he is the star of that movie, and it's based on real story, a real man, and all that. I think it's got a chance to be in theaters.
I believe so too. It's a pretty good movie, and Wayne Shipley.
Yeah, the director.
Yeah.
I want to get in here too.
He's pretty awesome. So.
He does westerns, I think, is what he's known for.
Yes, he does.
But all kinds of great people in it. There was There's
Yeah.
Johnny Alonso, who I want to get in here. You know.
Yeah, I know a lot of the cast.
You do a lot of those people?
Yeah.
A lot of good people.
Crew, I think, cast end up shared a lot. But crew is the piece where
Yeah.
there's really, that's it. You know, this person works with this and doesn't work with anybody else.
They exclusively work with that director or that whatever, you know, so that DP or whoever. Now, is there anything else that you would like to talk about in the time we have? Or anything hasn't been covered or anything about filmmaking in the Maryland area? I can tell you one thing, again, we bring up with a lot of people here, not everybody, is to say that, you know, in Maryland, it's hard to get films made because of the, you know, the state of Maryland, the way they distribute money to filmmakers. And the people come in here and they've said, well, if House of Cards gets all the money, or Veep used to get all the money. So they said, we little guys don't get that money.
Yeah, that, like on the political side, I go 100% against. We don't want to publish this one though. I actually go 100% against the subsidies, because what the subsidies do. Okay, so you're going to take, like, it makes me kind of mad because it's like, okay, you're going to take my money and give it to a Hollywood production company who's going to compete against me in that market space.
Right.
No. You need it. So I really don't like the Maryland
Film Commission?
Film Commission at all.
Uh-oh.
So if I went and got elected state government, I would work on getting them gone, or change your thing and support
the little guy.
The little guys, because I pay people, like, I pay typically $20 to $30 an hour to my cast. Plus they get bonuses depending on the revenue and everything. So that's bringing real money back into here, where Hollywood, you're paying somebody else, they're bringing in their own crew and stuff. Money's not staying here, it's going elsewhere.
Right.
So don't take my tax money, give it to somebody else who's competing against me.
Well, there you
Give
go.
it to me, because if you give me $1 million,
Yeah.
that's all spent here. It's not
In
being spent
Maryland,
anywhere.
yeah. And stays in Maryland.
It stays in Maryland.
Because that's why I say I always congratulate the filmmakers we have here and say, I'm glad you have stayed here and that you haven't gone to Hollywood, you haven't gone to Atlanta, you know, the big spots these days, and keep it here. I mean, because the other complaint we have, as well as the filmmakers have, is the Maryland Film Festival, which just finished, doesn't really try to promote Maryland films and Maryland-made films that much.
Nope. I was surprised that they took one.
And I was glad to see that the Maryland International Film Festival, which did feature Eric's film, and actually he got the award there as Maryland, the best Maryland film at the festival, which meant there was more than one.
Yeah.
That
I typically don't even claim that I filmed in Maryland. I just say it's all filmed in Ohio.
you say you filmed it in Ohio. Filmed in Ohio.
But they're not helpful at all to anyone who's on the low budget side. So
Right. But I think another great thing I thought when I talked to the woman who runs the festival up in Hagerstown, not only being kind to small filmmakers, people make short films. There are a lot of short films in that festival, and Maryland films. She said her next idea was to bring in distributors from Hollywood and stuff to come look at the film, so that a lot of these local filmmakers and just even small-time filmmakers, even from not here, can get distribution for their films.
Yeah.
And bring those to these people to the festivals looking for product. And I think that's a great idea.
It is. And yeah, I can probably get my distributor. If he doesn't come, he can send somebody.
Well, maybe we can get that. We'll tell Tracy about that.
Yeah, because
And,
if somebody around the area does a horror movie that I think is good, I'll connect them up.
right. And they do honor Maryland people because they give out an award every year called the Nora Roberts Award. And the woman who got it this year, she's an executive vice president with Spielberg's production company, Amblin Partners.
Oh, cool.
But she grew up in a town of about 1,000 people in Washington County, Maryland.
Yeah.
But she went to Hollywood in '91 and worked her way up to the top. And so they're honoring Maryland people even if they've gone west at that festival.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it a great festival. I don't know much about the Annapolis Festival, but it looked pretty good.
Yeah, the Annapolis Festival was pretty. That's actually the first film festival I ever went to, and only.
Okay, and we may check that out next year because we haven't gone to that one yet. But anyway, we're out of time. And if you can, before we go, look into your monitor and tell people what your contact information is so they can find you and find out news about, your productions. Right over there.
The best place to find out information about me is you go to markshell.me. So you can go www.markshell.me, and that's got all my information.
That's all right there. Huh?
Yep.
Okay, not .com, but .me.
.me.
Okay.
It was available.
Okay, terrific.
Somebody already stole markshell.com, so I had to go markshell.me.
Okay, because I thought it was interesting looking up you on the internet. There's a Reverend Mark Shell.
Yes, I think he's the one that took markshell.com. So yeah,
he has a lot of videos.
Yeah, so if you're looking for me and you find Reverend, that's not me. Although actually I am a Reverend.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm not that one though.
You're not that guy.
I'm not that guy.
But you're one of those guys who maybe ain't got the degree over the internet or something.
Yeah, because we do weddings or the wedding ceremonies.
I mean, there'll be real weddings then, because you're ordained. So
yes. So my wife and myself do that as kind of a hobby.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm a Reverend, but not that Reverend.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, Mark.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. And well, that's another end of another episode here of We Looking at the Movies here at TV Free Baltimore. So until next time, this is Paul Stefan, and wait and see who walks in the store next time. Bye-bye.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.